recently I interviewed another professional player and I wanted to share this interview with you guys. Now, it's about a 30-minute interview and it's with a female soccer player who's played professional in Sweden and Finland. So for all the girls in the audience, this one's specifically for you. However, if you're a guy watching this video, the same principles apply. So definitely listen to her advice, listen to her story, and think about how you can start taking steps in the right direction. Today I have a special interview for you guys, especially for the girls in the audience. I'm interviewing a player, Ciara Slayton, who's played professional in Sweden and Finland, and she's from the United States. And I just wanted to talk to her a bit and hear her story and maybe get some advice from her on how to pursue a college career or a professional career. So let's give her a call and let's get things started. Hello.
Hi.
Ciara, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for getting on the call with us. I'm sure lots of people are excited to hear from you, especially the girls who watch my videos, so thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool. So today I just wanted to kind of hear your story, and then maybe you can give some advice to players in general, but especially the girls. It's good for them to have someone to look up to and see that it's totally possible to play soccer, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So why don't you just start from the beginning? Like, you grew up in, you were born in America, correct?
Yeah.
Cool. So start from there,
Yes.
and when you started playing soccer and how your career took off and all the steps, and maybe I'll just jump in with a few questions along the way.
Okay. So I started playing soccer when I was 3 years old. And then from there, I played like kind of in the rec league a little bit. And then when I was around the age of, I think it was like 8 or 9, I actually played forward. I play defender now. But I played forward, and I was, me and one other girl from Colorado were asked to play, like, to represent the U9 national team. I didn't end up going over because my dad was, like, very, very overprotective, and we would have had to go to Europe, and we would be over there for, I think it was, like, a month. And my dad was just like, no, that's not going to happen. So I was actually pretty upset that I didn't end up doing that, but, I mean, then again, I'm where I am today because of what I did. So in high school, I played. I was always a pretty small player, so a lot of the coaches didn't really have a lot of faith in me. So in high school, I made actually the C team my freshman year.
Wow.
And then my sophomore year, I made JV, and then my sophomore year I made JV, and then my junior year I swung JV varsity, and then my senior year obviously varsity. So I always kind of had a chip on my shoulder just because I wasn't ever like recognized with any awards or anything, but I always like knew deep down like I was, not to sound like conceited, but I always knew deep down like I was, good enough to play at the professional level. So after high school, I went to Tyler Junior College and I played there for 2 years. My freshman year we won nationals, and then my sophomore year we were runners up, and then after that I went and played Division I soccer at University of Houston. That was a really good experience. I started playing defender actually there, and so since then is when I continue to play defender. I'm left-footed, so I played left back, and then I played center back as well. So after I graduated, I had to do a 5th year as a senior because some of my credits didn't transfer from Tyler Junior College, so I did a 5th year. And then I kind of just took a little break off of soccer, and then I got into contact with this agent. And so what you do with that is you send them like your highlight tape, you send them kind of your soccer resume.
Yeah.
And so they kind of go from there. So I sent the agent my soccer resume, and then he had a contract for me from Sweden like a month later. So I ended up taking that, and then so I went to Sweden, and then we actually did very well. It was a Division I team. There were 6 Americans on the team, and this is a team that's been wanting to move up in the league for a long time. So I think our record was like 17-3-2. We had a very good record. It was a really good team, and we won our league, and we moved up to Elite Titan. So we were planning on going back, but the thing was the team kind of just didn't have enough money to bring us back, just because there were so many Americans.
Okay.
So then after that, I was like, well, I'm not going to wait around for you guys to bring me back. So I got another contract offer from Finland with my agent, and they were supposed to be in the top league, but their visa, something happened with their money and their visa, so we stayed in the second league, and we ended up being in fourth place. So,
okay.
Yeah. So my soccer career has always been like a roller coaster ride, because I was always told I was too small to play, and especially on my club teams, I made all like the top club teams, but it was always, oh, you're too small, you have to grow a little more, and I was like, okay, well, I can still do it, and so I mean, it was always just a roller coaster ride for me, and I'm glad I did what I did, because it got me to where I am today, and so.
Cool. And you told me when we were talking that you picked up an injury recently.
Yeah. So while I was in Finland, I overstretched my anterior tibialis tendon.
Okay.
And so typically that takes it could take up to 2 weeks to heal. But the thing was, I was playing with it since July. So yeah, I came back here and I got an MRI, and they're like, well, you need to sit out for a few months, because you've been playing with it, since for 5-6 months.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm not training. I'm just doing rehab, and then I plan on getting back into training around April, and then I could be going over again in April, but I'm probably going to wait till the July season just to give my body, some time to rest. So.
Yeah, totally. It's better to take a little extra time than jump in there and try to be tough, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So I had a couple questions for you in advance, but as you were talking, a couple things came up that I'd like to ask you, and maybe you can speak a little more on those things. So first of all, like a lot of kids get in the situation like, oh yeah, I want to play striker, I want to be the forward, and then suddenly they're playing defense, right? Can you talk to me about how you made that switch, and like maybe your mindset, how it was in the beginning, maybe you didn't want to, and just how you adapted, and now how you feel about playing that position?
Okay. So yeah, as I told you before, I've grown up playing forward. I played it in high school, and then it wasn't until college actually I switched. So I'd say the main thing, defender, personally, I feel like it's a pretty easy position. But switching from striker to defender, it's like you always want to go up. So it's like, for me, I don't know, it just gets like frustrating sometimes, because I want to go up and I want to shoot. But as far as switching to defender, you just have to be more composed, and you have to just know that you have to stay back, because like I tend to go out a lot sometimes, and my coaches have to call me back. But I mean, it's not a big switch. I think, obviously, like I said, the biggest thing is just keeping composed, and then like knowing you have to defend now as opposed to being the striker.
It's just about learning a different. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, I was gonna say, it's just like you said. It's just about learning like a different position. So you have to kind of just adapt to it mainly, I think.
A different role, a different responsibility, but they're all important, right? If nobody defends, well, doesn't matter how many goals we score.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Cool. So also another thing you mentioned was the too small. They say you're too small, you're not going to make it, you're not big enough. How do you overcome that mentally? Because I know a lot of players, they have the same issue.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you kind of use that as like motivation or an advantage almost?
Yeah.
Talk to me about it.
Yeah, I would say I used it. So when it first happened, it was when I was around the age of 12, and I was on like the top team in my club and stuff, and I just didn't play a lot because he told me I was small, and so that really did, especially around that age, that got to my head, and I was like, wow, like this really sucks. Maybe I'm not good enough. And so it really like took a toll on my self-esteem. So the next year, I didn't even end up making the A team after that, because I just was like, it just put me down. And when I saw that I was like on the C team, I was like, I can't stay, because I was like in this strut where I was just like, okay, this like, I was just kind of feeling sorry for myself. And I was like, I can't feel sorry for myself. If I'm on the C team, I have to still give it my all, because I just didn't even want to play anymore. I didn't even want to try. I just like, And my parents, saw it. They're like, what happened to this girl that like was the top player, in Colorado to being what you are now? And so like mentally, I just had to pick myself up, and I just had to tell myself I was good enough. And no matter what anyone else said, I mean, I always had to tell myself I was good enough, because as I told you before, I mean, in college and in high school, I didn't get any like all conference teams, none of that, and I told myself, I was like, I deserve this. I need to, I put my highlight tape together, and I was like, you know what, I can do this. Like, I can play. And when I was in Sweden, I got one of the most, we had player of the game every game, like MVP of the game, and I was the second one on the team being a defender to get, most player of the games. And so for me, like, I just told myself every single day, like, you have to pick yourself up. You can't let these coaches tell you, how good you are or how small you are. You have to always continue to play your best no matter what. So that was my biggest thing.
Cool. That's really good. Thank you for sharing that. I think it just shows a lot about your character, but kind of the mentality a player needs to have, right? It seems like if the coach doesn't give me respect, everyone else thinks I'm not good enough. But deep down, I know I can do this. And you don't get the recognition sometimes, but you just have to keep going, and one day you get that payoff, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Definitely.
Good for you. So next I wrote here about your agent. Can you talk about how you, like you said, you put together your highlight tape and your little resume, but how exactly did you find this specific agent? How did you contact him or find him? Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So I didn't really get like a ton of help from my college coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of could have, I think, if I wanted to, but I more so did everything on my own. And I had a friend that played over in Iceland, and she was a few years older than me, so she kind of referred me to the agent, and she gave me his email, and she's like, email him, and he deals with top players, but email him and see if he'll, respond. And I was like, okay. So I sent him my soccer resume. I put together a really good highlight tape from my senior year, and he just came back to me, and I think he had already had a team, and he's like, hey, I have a team that's interested in you. I sent your stuff over, so you have to end up signing, because you have to sign with them first before you sign with a team.
Okay.
And so he's like, just sign with me, and then we'll send you over to the team. And so over there, they pay for everything, like your flight, your stay, your food, and everything. So you're pretty much taken care of. It's just getting the agent that's kind of, I guess the hardest part of it. But if you're willing, to go the whole 9 yards and do everything on your own, like contact people, contact agents, it's really easy to even just like Google, or I use LinkedIn, of course. And that's like a huge connecting place. So LinkedIn would probably be your best bet to find agents, I think.
Cool. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I haven't really talked about LinkedIn, and I just started getting on LinkedIn. That's where we connected. It was on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But that's probably a really good place for a player who's trying to contact agents or teams to get it there, make a nice profile on there, and just start contacting people, right? Sending out your video, your resume. Would you recommend that?
Yeah. But my biggest recommendation, especially to college players who want to play, to put together a good highlight tape. And usually in college, they film your games. And so what you can do is, I went to the video place and just asked them for the games, and then they kind of did it for me. You just go through and you put out the times that you want in the video, and then they just go from there.
Cool. Talk to me about, so you connected with the agent. He said, yeah, we got this team for you. They sent you over. Talk about the trial process. How was that for you? Like, was it a bit nerve-wracking, a bit scary? And what did they do to you? Did they just have you there for a couple sessions, or did they say you're going to stay here for a month? Can you talk about the trial process?
Yeah. So typically with a agent, you don't do a trial process. I know you can put together a trial process like on your own. But for example, with my agent, the team signed me right away from my highlight tape.
Really?
So, yeah. So
is
I went over there. Is that
pretty common, or is that kind of rare?
Yeah, that's actually pretty common.
Okay.
It does depend though, because there are obviously really, really good top teams that you sometimes would have to go on trial with. But yeah, if a team sees your highlight tape, they usually sign you off the bat if they want you. That's happened with me. I can't speak with other girls, but that's happened with me. So what I did was I went over there. I packed all my stuff for 8 months. I went over there, and then we were jet lagged like when we first got there, so we watched a few training sessions and then just kind of jumped in from there. But I was really nervous, actually. I was like, wow, this is like a step higher than college, and like I'm freaking out. But then I just like told myself, I was like, okay, you're here for a reason. Just relax and just play, like have fun and just play. So that was my biggest thing when I went over there, because I didn't want them to like sign me and be like, oh, she's not good enough to send me back to the U.S. So I went over there and just was like, all right, just play your best. They picked you for a reason.
Great.
So
yeah, I like what you said there. I'm here for a reason, right? You're not there because like it's just luck. You're obviously here because you're good enough. And if personally I don't believe in that, then why would a coach or these other teammates believe in me, right? Cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, just the other thing I wrote down was you said there was too many Americans on the team or too many foreign players. Can you talk about that? Like sometimes a team can only have a certain amount of foreign players. How does that work over there?
Yeah. So with Division 1, they may have changed it, but you can have as many foreign players as you want.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say we had 6, and that just put like a big toll on our on obviously our bank account and stuff, because having that many players, I mean, you have to pay for everything for 6 people.
Yeah.
So and that was why the team in Sweden like struggled the most to get us back, is because like they just didn't really have any money. So I mean, they moved up to Eliteton, and they signed a few foreign players back. I think in Eliteton you can only have 3.
Okay.
So they signed a few players back that they really, really needed in their positions, and so I think like just 3, or I think it's 3, and then you can have like, for example, players from like Spain, like any European country is fine. Like you can have it, I think, as many as you want, but as far as like from America, or from Canada, or from other places,
right? Yeah. Cool. Okay, so I sent you a couple of questions in advance, and I'd like to ask you those now. And the first question was, knowing what you know now, you've been through this experience, would you take the exact same route to get to that professional level, or would you do things a little differently?
If I'm being completely honest, I'd say I wish I would have went over with the national team when I was younger. Just because I feel like I was like better. I feel like for me as a player, I may have like went down a little bit. I feel like I was like better at the age of 9. I feel like I would have taken that route to go over to Europe and to play with that national team, because then that would have gotten my foot in the door for bigger things. So I mean, I don't necessarily regret anything, but that's the biggest thing I think that I would have done different, for sure.
You think for like a lot of kids, that's probably the best route to almost guarantee that it'll happen, getting into an academy at a young age, right?
Exactly, yeah, for sure.
But unfortunately, sometimes your parents have more say on what they want you to do than yourself, especially at 9. But like you said, no regrets, right? You can't go backwards. We can only live in the moment and look forward, so you deal with what happens.
Yeah, definitely.
So we talked a bit about LinkedIn. How would you suggest players start building or finding the right connections, whether that's agents or other players, or who do you think they need to be connecting with, and how should they make those connections?
So on LinkedIn, I think when they make their profile, what they should put down, for example, is like what college they played at, if they played for like ECNL, if they played on any, U20 national team levels type things like that.
Yeah.
And obviously a highlight tape. And then, I even went as far as adding some of the, the teams in Europe, or even like their management, and sending my information out to them. You can even do that, just sending your information out to other teams. And 9 times out of 10, they'll get back to you. I mean, my first time I emailed like 50 teams when I was looking for a team before I signed with an agent. But on LinkedIn, I think the best way to connect with people is, look up soccer agents and then just go through the connections and start adding tons of agents
Mhm.
and even reaching out to them. So I think that's a really good thing to help.
Cool. And then obviously, like you said, you kind of were lucky to have a friend who is also playing professional. That's one thing I talk about a lot. It's probably one of the best ways because their agent actually trusts their opinion, right?
Yeah, definitely. So my friend who played in Iceland, the one that helped me, yeah, that was a very big connection because she's the one who linked me up with my agent. So that was
okay. My next question was, like, you grew up playing at the top level, right, in all your clubs when you were younger, and you played college with a bunch of girls who were probably really good, maybe even some that you thought were better than you. But I guarantee you probably 99% of them aren't playing professional or didn't make it to the highest level. What do you think separated you from them?
So my biggest thing is when I play, I play with like a lot of heart. Like I don't care if I get hurt. I just give it my all.
Yeah.
I'm a very aggressive player.
Mhm.
As far as like skill wise, I mean that's something I need to work on. But I feel like my biggest thing was effort out of all the players. I don't think it had to do with skill or any of that, and not even just effort, just like wanting it. You know, wanting it for yourself and waking up every day telling yourself, I can do this for another 5-6 years.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest thing, I think.
What do you think about, like, maybe your off the field habits? Do you think that has anything to do with it? Like your discipline or your lifestyle off the field? Do you think that affects your how you made it there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, college, I maybe should have carried myself a little bit better, but I definitely learned from my mistakes in college. And so now playing, I mean, I definitely think what you do off the field affects, you know, on the field and affects like your teammates and affects your coaches and everything. And I mean, I've learned that year by year because, you know, we're not perfect, but at the same time, what you do off the field definitely affects everything on the field. The way you carry yourself off the field and on the field, like, I feel like that's a huge thing. Sure.
Can you? You don't need to get into crazy detail, but could you maybe kind of paint the picture of the difference of two different lifestyles, like maybe what some girls were doing and what you were doing instead?
I mean, in college for sure, a lot of girls partied, but I'm not gonna lie, I partied a lot too.
Yeah.
And that's why I think like in college I could have carried myself a little bit better on and off the field because like I was like going out and stuff, and then like, I mean, like I wouldn't go out every day, of course, but weekends I would definitely go out, and then like, I mean, even some practices, like I'm like I don't want to be here, I don't even want to try, and so like having that, I've definitely learned from having that mentality of like I don't want to be here, I don't want to try, like I don't care about my team right now, we're losing. That definitely takes a toll on you, and so I think just always like carrying yourself in a good way on and off the field, like being kind of like a leader and you know, showing others like, you know, that I don't know, you can't do some things, especially as an athlete, like there's some things that you can't do, and so I think just carrying yourself overall in a good way is just the best thing on and off the field.
And we're not saying like you can't have fun, you can't go out with your friends every once in a while, but it's about like the 80-20 principle, right? 80% of the time or 90% of the time, you're going to be disciplined, you're focused on what you're doing. And then that makes that 10% of the time that much more enjoyable, right? When you do go and celebrate. And like if some people obviously watching this video have heard my story, my college experience was the same thing. That was my lowest point in soccer. I was kind of like, I don't really want to train, and that had to do with the coaches and the team structure, but it was also my attitude and the attitude of a younger adult, right?
Yeah.
But for people watching this video, if you guys can figure it out at a younger age than we did, then you're probably gonna have more success, right? It's not about being cool. It's not about, I don't really want to work hard today. It's like, okay, do you really want to do this or not? If you don't want to do this, then go find something else that you're going to be passionate about. But if you want to do this, then this is the time to put it in. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, cool. I definitely agree with that.
Okay. So I had one last question for you, and that was if you could give any piece of advice to a young girl or a young boy who wants to be professional one day, what would that piece of advice be?
I think my advice would be to go into every game and every practice and play your best. And even if you get looked down on or people tell you you're too small, I mean, you're learning from my story. I didn't get anything. I didn't get any awards. I didn't get any all conference, nothing. So coming from nothing and playing professional, you just have to keep pushing no matter what. And you have to continue to tell yourself that you're good enough to play. And you have to carry yourself in a good manner on and off the field, and you have to be a leader. And you have to play your heart out every single day, every single practice. You have to give it your all, like it's your last, like it's going to be your last game or your last practice.
Cool. It doesn't matter if you're just like playing in the park with your friends or it's like the championship final, right? Treat every opportunity like it's, like you said, like it's your last chance or your chance to prove yourself. And if you just have that mentality when the big occasions do come around, it's going to be easier for you. You're going to be ready for it. It's going to be natural to you. Is that kind of what you're saying there?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else you wanted to share while you have us here with you today?
No, I just encourage the younger players, no matter what, just keep pushing forward, giving it your all. Don't let any coach tell you you're too small. Don't let any coach tell you you're not good enough. Just keep pushing forward no matter what.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. And we're going to share this. And we're also going to put your social media on there. I don't have it in front of me right now, but what did you want to throw up there? Your Instagram and Facebook or anything else?
Yeah. So my Instagram is C_, and then my last name, Slayton. And then my Facebook is Sierra A. Slayton. It's like A.Slayton.
Cool. And we'll put the links. We'll put the links up right here so they can click on them. And yeah, especially for the young girls watching this, if you want a great role model to look up to, and if people send you some questions, maybe you might respond if you have the time. Can we say that?
Oh yeah, sure.
Cool. I don't want you to get bombarded. Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time, and maybe we'll get you back on a call in the future because I think you have a lot of great advice to share.
Okay.
So thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
I hope you enjoyed watching that video. I really enjoyed doing that interview with Sierra, and there's a lot of great information in there. Not just steps you can take to work towards becoming a professional, but also the importance of the proper mindset. How you're going to act when it seems like everyone's against you, no coaches believe in you, they don't think you're good enough, they don't think you have the skills, and you just find a way to make it happen. You believe in yourself, you keep pushing forward, and one day you get that opportunity. And that is just so important. If you don't take anything else from this interview, I want you to take that mindset and apply it to your game, apply it to your life. Because if you are in your own corner, you're your own biggest believer, then you can make things happen. So please follow her on Instagram and Facebook. I'll also put the links in the description of this video. I'm also going to put a link to her highlight video if you guys want to check that out. And if you guys enjoyed the video, you like what she had to say, you'd like to have her back, or you want other professionals or other coaches to be interviewed, please comment below and let me know what you guys thought. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll talk to you real soon.